Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Craig Malice. I'm back again this week. They brought me back for at least one more episode, I think. I'm with the Hall of Famer, Alan Willey. Hi, Alan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We have a name. We've been given a name now, and we're very, very excited about it. This podcast will now be called Soccer with a Kick. Obviously, it's about soccer, and we have... Thank you. That's the first applause anyone's given me all week, so I'm very, very excited. Funny story to start with this one, Alan. I kind of mentioned it to you on the way in. I was in bed this morning at around 7:30, and I heard a knock on my door. Well, as we talked about last week, I have no social life whatsoever. Nobody comes over. Nobody knocks on my door. So I was not worried, but I was, at this time. Then I hear someone put a key into the door and try to turn it. Now, this is where I start getting really worried. I'm like, do I do the Scottish thing and get up and confront them? Or do I just hide in my bedroom with the cat and lock the door? I had no idea. Nobody's ever been here. Been over. I decide to get out. Two men come in. They're plumbers. Well, the reason this is weird for me is I recently just bought a condo. So when I rented for the past 10 years, you get the knock on the door, you get the phone call, people saying, we're coming up tomorrow, we're coming up on Tuesday to do something in the apartment. I own it. I thought I was supposed to be the one that fixed the valves under the sink and in the bathroom sink. So there's me standing there in all my glory. I did have boxer shorts on. They were the tight ones. And there's two men just staring at me. And my heart's been beating all day, Alan. I don't know if you've ever had to go through anything like that, but like I said, nobody comes over, and that's what happened. So I don't know if you have a familiar story or something similar.
Not really, but the only thing I would say is I don't want a Scottish guy. Only pipes he should be playing is the bagpipes.
Oh, I'll give you that one. That's a good one. But I started working out again recently, so I was not looking too terrible. Like I was earlier, but no, it was honestly I was really, really kind of flustered when you hear someone putting a key in the thing that you own and you're the only one with a key. It kind of scared me a little bit. So
I'm sure the guys were really impressed with your Cristiano Ronaldo 7 underwears.
Oh, so. I know, yeah, I know. He sends them over at me all the time. I keep telling him to stop doing it, But let's get on with this. NASL. Who won?
Well, as you heard last week, I picked Ottawa. I thought they were the best team all season, and they started off the way. The game, that the first 9 minutes, they were the better team, and unfortunately, just like in the Minnesota game, they gave up the first goal in the 8th minute, exactly the same in Minnesota when they played them the week before. But I was thinking about it. The last game of the season, Ottawa, they played a weakened team, and because of playing the weakened team, they end up tying the game, and they lost the home field advantage all the way through. So I'm sure they're kicking themselves thinking about why they put almost a second team out there rather than go for the win and make sure you get home field advantage through the playoffs, because they would have had a much better chance playing at home in Ottawa than they were in New York. But I just watched the first half. The first 8 or 9 minutes, it was all Ottawa. New York's got a good goal. And then kind of settled down a bit. It's kind of even through the rest of the first half. But I didn't see the second half, but I was following it on Twitter. And I saw the Heineman scored 2 goals again. And we talked about him last week. If you met him on the street, you would never think he was a soccer player. But he just does his job. He works hard, chases balls into corners that no one else would do. And he ends up getting 2 goals out of it.
I'm going to be a little bit hypocritical here. I know why managers and coaches rest the players. As both of us ex-players, we know why they do it, but at the same time, I have no idea why they do it. As a player, that must be the most frustrating thing, because you can train as much as you want, you can be in the gym as much as you want, you can be in the fitness room as much as you want, but nothing replicates an actual game scenario. And especially when you're plugging away all season, you have that the momentum, you're playing well, and then to be put on the bench or not make the 18. And I know that's why they have squads. I know it's about the bodies. It just, when it's that close to the playoffs or a big game, the boys, as you know, they just want to play.
I understand if there was nothing on the line, but with home field advantage definitely on the line, you would want to play any playoff games at home if you can. And I'm sure it's a big mistake looking back by Ottawa, thinking that we should have put a stronger lineup out rather than rest one or two players. They were lucky all season long. That we talked about in the pregame when we played them up in Ottawa. They had the same back four the whole season. That there might have been a matter of minutes where someone came off late in the game. But other than that, the back four was the whole season long, which was huge for them. But I really thought that they played in New York 3 or 4 weeks before that, and they won comfortably 4-1. And I thought it was pretty much going to be the same kind of game because Minnesota played New York 3 times this season. And for me, New York didn't show me anything. But when you got Raul and Senna in that lineup, when it comes down to winning games at the end of the games, there's nobody better than those two guys who can come through for you. And although he didn't score, his presence being in that lineup probably helped him along to win the championship.
So it's a long off season. The boys will probably love it for the first couple of weeks. A little bit time off, kind of eat what they want to eat, drink whatever they want to drink for a couple of weeks. Then they'll be itching to get back. I know a lot of our players go back to their specific country or city or state, whatever they live in. I did see my boy Christian Ramirez had his wisdom teeth taken out today. So if anyone is on Twitter, give him a follow. He's a lovely guy. He's a brilliant player. He looks pretty funny with his wisdom teeth taken out, but we do love him. Speaking of that, if you do have anything to ask me or Alan, we're both on Twitter. Mine is at Craig_Mallace, Mallace. And then Alan's is at #1 Newcastle fan. No, I'm kidding. Alan, I'll take a round of applause for that one. Yeah. Brilliant. 2 in 1 night. It's at Alan, WILLEY 9. So if you ever have anything to ask us throughout the week, please ask, and we'll get you on. We'll get you on the show. We'll speak to you. But a long off season. You mentioned last week you didn't really have an off season because you went straight from indoor to spring, summer. What do you think the boys, at least in our team and other NASL teams, and my little brother who's in Montreal, unfortunately their season, which is a brilliant season, is unfortunately over as well. What do you do? I know I would take a couple of weeks off and then literally do nothing. Don't kick a ball, don't jog, don't even lift. Do you think that's changed? I know you played before my time, and then I played in a different era from the guys that do now. But can they just take a whole 2 weeks off, or is that not possible anymore?
A whole 2 weeks?
A whole 2 weeks. Because that's what it seems like.
Yeah, it's a different ball game now completely from especially when I played, because when I played, the off-season was the off-season. You went away, did wherever you want, ate wherever you want. You'd come back to pre-season, and pre-season was a place where you got your fitness. It wasn't you were trying to get fit, for the games coming up. It was probably about a month long. But nowadays, they have physicals before they leave. They have to go and have a physical and everything. They get the menus, all the training programs that they've got to do once the season's finished, and they'll go away. They might have, like you say, 2 weeks off. But we used to have 2 or 3 months off. But when I first started playing, I was playing all year round for 4 years in a row because I'd be in Middlesbrough, then I'd come to Minnesota, back to Middlesbrough. And back then, 17, 18 years old, that's not a problem. It's just longer in your career that would go on. But what was happening then was we were playing outdoor, then we were playing indoor. So we were going from one season to a different season. So, maybe 4 or 5 times in my career, I had probably 3 or 4 months off during the season, and it was just too much because you have to work harder just to come back to preseason, because that's the time when they're trying to get into shape rather than come into preseason trying to get into shape. But it's a lot different these days.
I remember in college when I played Division 1, my friends used to make fun of me because we'd be late in July. I'd have to be right back at school, back at Milwaukee, and they're having fun, going to concerts, enjoying the weather. They're out in Stillwater watching Leonard Skinner and bands like that. They're absolutely loving it. And there's me going back up for preseason. And a friend would, these before texting, that's how old I'm getting. Friend would send me an email or even a call and just say, what you doing on October 21st having a party or we're going to this, I would get a schedule from Milwaukee that was a big booklet. And I'd go to October, and I'd go to the 21st, and I'd say, got training in the morning, we're flying to Chicago, I'm having penne pasta for lunch. Everything was in there, every single detail. You know what you had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was all pre-planned, which is interesting. But yeah, like you said, now, and I'm sure it's got even more regimented even since when I played, which was only a few years ago. Nowadays, I know how well they treat the players, the male players and the female players. You basically get told what to do, what to eat, where to be,
and when to do it. Back in the days when I played, I remember the guys used to come back from the holidays, from vacations, and they used to get these garbage bags and just cut holes out for sleeves, and they'd put the garbage bags over the top of the t-shirt, then they put a sweatshirt on over the top, and that was the way they get to sweat it out. It's a little different these days, but it was just a garbage bag that we found in the corner that you just cut 2 holes out of the top, put it over your head, and then put your shirt on, and off you went for practice.
Why are you stealing garbage bags?
They were in the locker room. They're supposed to be for garbage.
Oh, I thought you meant like corner of the street or something like that.
They were in the corner of the locker room that they were there for the garbage, but some of the players would come in who wanted to sweat a little bit more out of it. They'd been out drinking the night before, even before pre-season, so they put these garbage bags on over the top and
get on the bike and that.
Yeah, the biggest culprit was Alan Foggen. I don't know if you remember him back in the day. He played for Newcastle as well as Middlesbrough, but he would come in. He always had a weight problem. Bobby Murdoch was the same. He'd come in, and those two guys would be looking for garbage bags around the locker rooms to try and put on over the top of the shirts and the sweatshirts so they could sweat something out, at least so when they came in after practice, when they got weighed, they'd be somewhere in the same zip code as what they should be, weight-wise.
So did they throw the garbage bags out afterwards, or were they environmental friendly and used them several times?
No, they used them several times to keep them there.
That's good.
Yeah, but it wasn't a nice smell in that locker room once the guys came in.
So yeah, long off season. We wish all the players and all the leagues who are off right now the best of luck in obviously getting back to fitness, and enjoy your rest off. I watch all these games, I watch all these leagues. Alan does as well. They're out there entertaining us, and they deserve their break, and we hope they come back even better than before. International games, we'll get into those a little bit if that's okay. Everyone here at Live and Social, and Alan and myself, definitely would like to say our thoughts are with all the people in France, all the people who are not from France who are affected by last week. You have our condolences. We like you. We love you. I wish Scotland was going to the European Championships next year in France, but our thoughts are definitely with you. That being said, England, Wales, Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, Scotland, we are the only ones who are not gone. Every other country is gone. I know, I take this every day. My cousin from England, give him a shout out, David Wake, sent me a message today or yesterday that said, people in Scotland, while we're gone, can you feed our cats? So he's going to get a little bit of a punch next time I see him. But what are your thoughts on how the home nations, our home nations, played?
Well, obviously England qualified, well ahead of time. They pretty much won every game that they played. We just saw Republic of Ireland qualify yesterday, and it's nice that all these teams have qualified except Scotland, as you said. But I really do wish that they would have made it, because it'd be great for the country. But I was just reading yesterday where there's only one team can be drawn in England's group, and it can't be all three of them. But where I'd like to see them to play was when they all get them in, when England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales all get into this major competition. I'd love to see them all in one group, because I think it would just bring a whole new aspect to the game itself. It'd be so much intense rivalry going on when they're playing. Each country. We used to play the games, every 2 years between the 4 or 5 countries, and that was the best, some of the best games we've ever seen between those countries.
Yeah, home
nations.
I believe.
Yeah.
No, I will make fun of England. I'll make fun of Republic of Ireland just because I've got a lot of friends from there. Half my family is from England, so deep down I actually do love them. And my favourite league is the English Premier League, but it's just good for banter. You know that, but it's every single time England get drawn in their groups for qualifying, it's always England, Lapland, Netherlands. There's never a real country in there.
No, they're always playing these teams that you've never heard of usually, and they still struggle to
Scotland's
get
group
through.
is always Scotland, France,
Italy.
Germany, even Brazil. Even so, they're not even in our qualifying. They're probably still in there. That's how we get. For the World Cup, and we'll keep talking about the home nations, but for the World Cup, the next World Cup, Scotland and England are actually in the same group. So if Alive and Social will have us back in a couple of years, that's going to be some brilliant banter.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting, and I'm happy that they are in the same group because, like you said, there's nothing beats those games when England plays Scotland or England plays Ireland or Wales. They're all so close together these days. I just watched England play France today, and they had a lot of young kids out there. They played well, but you can't really take the result in because of what's happened in France lately. So I'm sure the French players weren't really at the races today, but England did look good at times. And I just read a tweet from Gary Lineker, who I follow, and he was mentioning that the Euros coming up next year might be a little too early for this England team, but come the World Cup, these kids if they can stay together and play together, they might have a good chance of going a long way when they get to into Russia.
Oh, definitely. And like I said, England's right now, they've lost so many good players just based on retirement. Obviously, John Terry, he retired for certain reasons. And Rio Ferdinand, and then you have Scholes, Paul Scholes, then you had David Beckham, and Lampard, Gerrard, the list goes on and on. Losing such massive players like that is difficult, but I think the young players in England, I think it's a fresh scene. I think today the average age of the English team was 22. And starting 11, that's incredible.
That hasn't been like that forever. Not that I can remember of. Like you say, it was all the older guys who they all seemed to they all came through the ranks at the same time with Manchester United, the players that you just mentioned, and all of a sudden they're all pretty much retiring at the same time. So not only the club's losing them, but the national team is losing them. But this is a nice setup for the England team. But a lot of these players have to play, and in the English Premier League, a lot of the English players don't get to play with their regular teams because there's so much competition and there's so much money involved. A lot of the players that come into the league are playing and taking place of some of these younger England kids that could be playing for their hometown teams, but they don't get to play that, so they got to go and play elsewhere. But it'll be interesting to see this England team if they can stay together for another 2 or 3 more years, if they might be able to do some damage in the World Cup in 2018.
Who's your favourite player to watch in England right now for the English national team? I'm a fan of Raheem Sterling. I like how I know we don't want to repeat content, but he's direct, just like Jermaine Defoe. I like that aspect of him. I'm a massive fan of Ross Barkley. I like him. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful, he's very technical. And again, like I said, this will be a common theme. All good players are direct, and you see that with Barkley. He gets it. He shrugs off men, even when he was just a younger boy. I've been very, very impressed with him.
Yeah, I like how Barkley gets on the ball and he runs at people. There's not many English players in the Premier League that can do that, but he's good at doing it. We saw a couple of times in the last couple of years where he's taken the ball from his old 18-yard box and taken the length of the field and scored some great goals. But you took the words out of my mouth about the favourite player to watch, and it is Raheem Sterling. But with the skill and the speed that this guy's got, he should be scoring 30-plus goals a season for now Manchester City, or even when he was at Liverpool. He gets in so many good scoring positions, but he just hasn't got the technique to put that ball away a lot of times, but he gets in so many good positions. And if he can start scoring, Manchester City could walk away with the title this season.
And I hope he finds that in his game, because he does, like you said, he's got every other tool in the tool belt. He just lacks a final product.
Yeah, he's not a finisher like maybe what Alan Shearer was or someone like that, but he's got so much speed that he can get behind the defense, and once he gets behind them, it's what kind of finishes. Sometimes he panics, but he gets into great positions, but he just doesn't finish them off most of the time.
I did want to move on to kind of talk to quite a few of the countries, obviously. Wales would be the next one on the list. I don't think we have to spend a lot of time on them because there's only one name, Gareth Bale. Actually, no, they do have some good players. Probably one of my favourite midfielders in the English Premier League is Aaron Ramsey. Yeah. Last year, he really broke out. He could finish. He added that to his game. He wasn't just a box-to-box. He wasn't just a passer. He wasn't very good, he was very good tactically, but that wasn't just it to his game. He added finishing, and he scored a barrel load of goals last year before he got injured. He also seems like he is a little bit injury prone, kind of like the whole Arsenal team pretty much. But
kind of like Wilshere too. But you're right. A couple of years ago, he was just on the outsides of the team, trying to get into the team, and all of a sudden last year he came in and he took it much by storm. He was scoring goals, but he's a good box from one box to other box kind of a player where he works so hard in those areas, and he was one of the main reasons why Arsenal did so well. And he seems a little off this season so far. I'm not sure if he's got a niggle injury or something, but he's a little different. But yeah, like you said, the other guy, Gareth Bale, he pretty much is the Wales team. Everything goes through him, and as Gareth Bale goes, that's how Wales go.
We can move on to Republic of Ireland. I've always had a soft spot for them until we drew them in the group, and we didn't lose to them, but they got the third place, went to the playoffs, and went through. So I would like to congratulate anyone who supports Republic of Ireland. I'm still pretty salty. I'm still pretty bitter. I'm still really hurt that you knocked us out. But out of all the home nations, I've always had a soft spot for them. It probably comes back to one of the first World Cups I watched was probably '94. I was only 7 or 8, so sorry if that makes you feel old. But I was only like 6, 7 or 8. It was here in the US, and I saw Ray Houghton score a screamer against Italy. A beautiful goal, and I've always had a soft spot for them there. Robbie Keane, who also I have his jersey, my little brother. Callum, who sent it to me, I have that. I know he said one day and Robbie Keane is the all-time Irish goal scorer. Brilliant Premier League player, now plays in the LA Galaxy. My brother said as soon as I get my own place one day or settles down, buys a house, he wants it back. Callum, I know you're listening. You will never get that one back because I'm a big fan of him. Who do you like for Republic of Ireland?
I've always liked them ever since my old boss Jack Charlton was the manager there. Way back in the 90s. Like you said, in '94, I'd already retired by then. But I've always followed them. Like I said, Robbie Keane, he's just a goal scorer. He always has been. Doesn't matter where he's been. For such a good goal scorer, he moved around quite a bit early in his career. He was at a bunch of different teams, but everywhere he went, he'd always score goals. And he ended up coming in here to the Galaxy, and he was their leading goal scorer as well. But for me, he's the best player for me.
Before we move on to Northern Ireland, obviously the US are playing tonight against Trinidad and Tobago. It is 0-0 right now, and it appears to be halftime. Would love to give a shout out to my friend and a very, very talented player, Miguel Ibarra. Miguel was in Minnesota, I believe, for 3 years. Alan, you might correct me if I'm wrong. I became closer friends with him last year, and he's a brilliant player. The speed, he can run exactly the same speed with the ball than he does without the ball, and he's just a humble guy. If you got a chance to speak to him, we'd be hanging out in places, and everyone wanted to go, speak to. He was a Golden Ball winner, which means the best player in the NASL, voted by fans and his peers. And he was just the most humble, down-to-earth guy. We sold him in January. We sold him in July to Club Leon in the top league in Mexico. So we're very, very happy for him. We're sad he left us, but I'm really excited to watch him play. Hopefully he gets on tonight. So that was kind of like a long-winded shout-out to Miguel.
Yeah, it's good to see him play with Minnesota United, but he left at the time where he was really coming into his own. The times I saw him earlier on, he was in and out the lineup, and just the last couple of years he got in there, and he ended up getting into the national team with some of his performances, and it was well worth it because, he has an engine that doesn't stop. Whether it's the first minute or the 90th minute or the 120th minute, as it was in the playoffs last year, he just non-stop, and you could see him just growing with confidence by every game. But it was good, and it was sad to see him go because he's going to a much better league, better players. He's earning a national team spot because he's playing in a better league against better players and doing the same things that he was doing here in Minnesota. So it's good to see.
No, yeah, we're all very excited for him. That was kind of like a long-winded tangent from Alan and myself. That's going to happen every week. Just get used to it with all the people that we know and how much we we just love our soccer. We're just going to go off on all different areas. Northern Ireland, not going to lie, don't really watch them. Don't really know a huge amount about them, except for Georgie Best, who's an absolute hero of mine. If people at home have never heard of George Best, please go on YouTube and watch some of his highlights. He really is an absolute genius that was born in the wrong country. We would have loved him in Scotland. And he thought, I know Northern Ireland, they have Michael O'Neill, who's the head coach, the manager. He's really turned them around. What did you see any other games? Do you know about any other players? Because I really don't.
No, I don't. And like you said, I don't think I've watched them since George Best stopped playing for them, because that was the only reason why I would watch him, was because he was playing, and I got the chance to play against him a couple of times when he came over here. Played once against him when he was at Manchester United, and then again when he was over here in the NESL with a couple of teams, and he still had it then. He was just, like you said, one of the goals he scored, it might have been for Fort Lauderdale or Los Angeles, where he beat, I think, 5 or 6 guys in the box. It was just an incredible goal, and if you get a chance to go see it, look it up on YouTube. It's one of the best goals you'll ever see scored.
I have his book. I have videos of him. He had everything. I've never seen, and that was back in the day, Alan, back in your day when defenders could do whatever they wanted to you. I've seen him just get savagely, brutally just destroyed. Doesn't even fall. His balance, his technique, I do know. In his book, it's funny you brought it up earlier, in his book there's a brilliant picture of him with Dennis Law, maybe, or I forget who it was, but it's in the middle of his book, and Georgie Best is running with the garbage bag on. For pre-season training for, was it Fort Lauderdale he played for?
Yeah, I think Fort Lauderdale. I think he also played for Los Angeles and maybe San Jose also. But yeah, that was high tech back in those days, the garbage bags. But yeah, some of the goals he scored is just incredible. It's just a treat to watch.
We're watching a few of his highlights right here as we're speaking right now, and kind of want to stop talking for a little bit and just enjoy. But he's absolutely insane. Biggest question for you is, did you ever go on a night out with Georgie Best?
No, I'm not sure if it's unfortunate or I was lucky that I didn't get to go out, because you hear some of the stories about him, and you try to stay away from that as much as possible. But yeah, he was a legend on the night out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so that's a big. He's always been a hero of mine. I just loved how he moved with the ball, and I know we mentioned it with Ryan Giggs. He just glided. And I can't keep my eyes off this screen, but
you did mention yellow cards back in the day when yellow cards were actually for a foul. Yeah. Nowadays, you can't even go near someone, a little trip or a little tug here, and it's a yellow card. I just wish they would go back, because it kind of spoils the games. Teams that play very aggressively, they're on the back foot right from the get go. If someone gets a yellow card, they can't really be aggressive anymore, and it changes the games. But like I said, back when I played, or back when George Best played, you get scythed down, and sometimes the referee would just play on. He wouldn't even come back to talk to you. But you had to work really hard to get a yellow card, and for my goodness, to get a red card, nowadays you might get 3 to 6 in prison with some of the tackles that went on back then.
So the last home nations team we have to talk about, and obviously the best out of the home nations, is my Scotland. And not biased in any way about it. I know my football. I love my football, my soccer. So I have no bias. I've been disappointed by Scotland my whole life when it comes down to the weather and then the national team. But we've been really organised under Gordon Strachan, and it seems more of a club rather than a national team, which before it was more of a national team. The boys, they get together, they go away for the weekend to Leith. They have a few drinks, they go play. Nobody really wants to get injured because the club is the one that pays them, not really the national team. But Strachan's brought it back, more of a club. Yeah, and we're actually producing better players now, and we might get into youth development a little bit later, because that's what I do. And I want to hear your thoughts on that as well. Even so you don't coach, the game inside out. It'd be nice to hear what it was like when 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. But Gordon Strachan has really brought a passion back to Scotland. We were unlucky to go out. Only reason we went out of the European Championships basically was because Republic of Ireland somehow got a win in Germany in the 94th minute, and Poland somehow equalised against Germany away. Those are games that when I saw the group, those home against Germany, away against Germany, you kick those out. You say 0 points, and you kind of go from there. Republic of Ireland, we beat and we drew with. Poland, we drew twice with. Again, typical Scottish fashion. If we won against Poland the last game, we would have got the third playoff spot. And then we conceded some horror goal in the 93rd minute. That's when I just went home from Brit's pub and just cried for quite a while, to be honest, because it always happens to us. We lose to England 3-2, and England's a much superior team, but we give you a brilliant game. 1998 World Cup, Scotland, Brazil. John Collins, who I actually know his nephew pretty well that lives over here, he was a very good player for Scotland. He scores to make it 1-1 against the world champions in the first game of the World Cup. Own goal in the 88th minute, Brazil win. And that's when they had the real Ronaldo and all those boys. It's just it's really getting old, the glorious failure. And that's kind of what we're getting dubbed. And when you see England, Wales, Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland all making it, and we're the only ones that don't. Like, I think even Lapland got in. That's how bad I'm feeling right now. What are your thoughts on Scotland in the past? Because we had some magic players back in the 60s, 70s, some of the best players in the world probably, and then the Scotland now.
Well, I watch Scotland as much as I watch Northern Ireland.
Thanks, mate.
No, but Scotland, they seem to play the good teams. The Brazils, the Germanys. They seem to play them, on an even field. Not too bad. It's the in between teams where they seem to struggle against. And I don't know the results of this year's European Championships or the qualifier rounds, but I'm sure there was some games where they should have come out and won. They did win the game. I forget who they were playing. Fletcher scored a couple of hat tricks against them. But those are the games you got to keep winning all the time. But Scotland are likely to throw in a game like that where they'll end up losing or tying to a no-name team when they really should win. But I used to enjoy watching Scotland back when I played, because I played alongside Graham Souness when he was at Middlesbrough.
He was a tough tackler.
And he was, if you look at some of his tackles on YouTube, there's one that's on there that's just absolutely horrendous. And it was just, I don't know how the guy got up and walked away. But he was...
I don't think he did. I think he's still sitting down. That was like 82 or something like that.
There was him and Archie Gemmell and guys like that. Scotland were a great team back then. But I haven't seen much of them play lately. You're going to be lonely when you're watching the European Championships next summer, and there's going to be no Scotland in there. I really do. I wish they were, because, like I said, when you get all the teams in from Great Britain playing in a huge tournament like this, it can only be better for soccer all around the country.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, and that's the only thing that kind of helps me get through it and gets over my disappointment is that the other four teams made it. So now I got something to watch. I watch all the leagues. I love all football. But English Premier League is my league. I want to see those players playing, whether they play for Ireland, Wales, or England. I just want to see them play, and it's the only decent thing, at least in my opinion, about Scotland not being there is we can get to watch them. Fun little trivia thing for people, or when you're at your next party or your next soccer gathering. Sweden played Denmark today. It was 2-2. Last week, or I think they played Friday. Sweden were home, Denmark was away. So on the scoreboard it said SW. Well, we'll start before we do that. If you add all the letters from both teams together, it said SWE against, or a little dash, DEN. If you take the other letters in Sweden and Denmark that have not already been used, it comes up Denmark. What do you think of that, Alan? Did you know that?
I just saw that the other day. We must have seen the same website or the same Twitter.
I just came up with it 5 minutes ago.
Well, I saw it a couple of weeks ago.
Oh.
So. But it is quite amazing, Swe and Den, and the letters that are missing make up Denmark. So it's weird.
I thought it was a lot more interesting than my long-winded shower story that I said earlier, which I still think was brilliant. But I'm sure we'll hear your opinions on it. Do you know the score in the USA game? Do we have it up?
We do.
I think it might still be halftime. Still halftime. Fingers crossed Miguel gets in. Something I just added, Alan. Actually, I didn't show you this. There's a young Scottish player called Ryan Gauld, and he plays for Real Madrid. He now plays for Sporting Lisbon, and he's 16, 17, which is rare for a Scottish guy, any Scottish player to be anywhere near Real Madrid. Never mind even in the stands. And he just got transferred, or he's on loan to Sporting Lisbon, which is in Portugal. And just to show how the coaching is different in Scotland, maybe I know it'll change a little bit now, but it was always the big, the strong, the fast. Let's have those boys play, the technical guys that you sit on the bench at youth levels. Ryan Gauld, the manager of Scotland, which is Ricky Sabragia, who used to be the Sunderland manager.
Exactly, yeah.
He didn't pick Ryan Gauld for an under 19, under 20, something like that game recently because his exact words was, he's too small. Now the boy plays for Real Madrid, or did. I don't know how you can be too small to play for Scotland. You could say he's not fast enough, he's not good enough, he's not there yet, but the exact words, it just shows you that kind of dinosaur coaching that myself and you grew up with. The guy plays for Real Madrid. He's actually playing in the first team for Sporting Lisbon. And the whole Scottish nation were absolutely outraged. I go on a website called the Pie and Bovril, which is just a forum for all the leagues, and then the Tartan Army, which is the biggest Scottish supporters group. And I couldn't believe that a manager, someone who's coached in the Premier League, would say that somebody is too small in this day and age.
Well, just looking him up there, he's 5'6", and if I remember very well, I don't think Billy Bremner was much taller than that, if at all. He was taller than that.
Gordon Strachan.
I mean, those are two of the best players that Scotland's ever seen. I don't think maybe it was just youth. He might have said he was too small, but he probably was trying to say he wasn't quite old enough. He doesn't have the experience yet. But I don't think height matters in soccer. 5'6". Billy Bremner used to play like he was 6'6" when he played, and he was just one of the smallest guys on the field with a huge heart. I'm sure this guy is going to get his chance eventually. But like you say, if he's playing for those teams in Spain right now, why can he not play for the national team? But he will get his chance if he's good enough. He will get his time, and he will show. And it's going to be even better for him when he does show up and he does play well, and everyone's going to say, "I told you so." There's nothing better than that, than telling a coach, "I told you so."
Yeah, if he's good enough for Real Madrid, he's good enough for Scotland or Lapland. It's kind of the same country. A cool thing we're going to do every week, and like I said, my name is Craig Mallis. Twitter at Craig_Mallis, MALLACE, and at Alan Willey, WILLEY 9. We're going to do weekly Premier League predictions, and we'll speak about each game that comes up. We'll do our scores. We don't really have a thing in place, Alan. There's no official league, but if you want to follow at home, we'll come up with a point system. So I was thinking, if you get the outcome of the game correct, each will give you a point per game. So it could be a win for a team, it could be a loss for a team, it could be a draw. If you get the exact score correct, then you would get 3 points. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so people at home, let us know how good or how bad we do, and keep track yourself and let us know how you're doing. This is our game. It's the game of the world, or the world's game. First game, if I can just grab my notes. Let's do Watford against Man United, and we'll talk a little bit about the players of the game. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit less about the Sunderland game, that's for sure.
That's not till next Monday, so there's a ways to go.
Yes. See, even all the fans in the Live and Social office, they're going wild for that comment. I love it.
But Watford and Manchester United, that's the early game this weekend. It's going to be a Manchester United win. If they're going to have any hopes of staying close to win the championship this year, these are the games that you got to win. Watford, they're mid-table right now, and that's what you expect from a team coming out of the championship. Those kind of teams usually do well up until around Christmas time, and all of a sudden they kind of hit that wall. I think Bournemouth seems to have already hit that wall. They're starting to drop down the table a little bit. I'd expect Watford to. Man United have probably had a lot of players away on international duty. I'm not sure if Watford had anyone away, but I'm going to go with Manchester United take the win and at least by 3-1.
Okay, good. You want to keep track of this? The little table, Craig and Alan?
Yep.
Let's do that. 3-1. I can't really argue with that. I'd probably say I think 2-1. I think a lot of Man United players, Michael Carrick, I don't know if he's injured or if he was just kind of getting a little bit laboured.
You said 2-1 Watford, right? Is that what you meant?
Yeah. No, 2-1 Man United. Maybe not a game you want to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning for, to be honest, folks back home. But it could be good. Chelsea against Norwich City. Now, this one is interesting to me because I'm absolutely baffled with how Chelsea are performing on and off the pitch with some of Jose Mourinho's antics. Obviously, I said before, he's my favourite manager by far. I think he's the best in the world. I read his books. The guy's just a pure winner. I think he's not handled himself well. I think he's lost the dressing room. This is one where Norwich are going in, I think, at a really good time, or is there going to be a backlash? Chelsea's had a few weeks off. The boys have been away with their national team. Jose might have had a little bit of time to calm down, kind of get his thoughts together, and then is Watford just going to get absolutely battered by him? I'm going to say it's going to be 4-0 Chelsea.
I'm also going to pick Chelsea, but more of maybe a 1 or a 2-0. Norwich, kind of like Watford and Bournemouth, they kind of started to hit that wall. They beat Sunderland early on in the season 3-0. They looked like world beaters, but everyone does against Sunderland. But they got beat 6-2 of Newcastle a couple of weeks ago. So depending what team shows up, they're very good. They're very quick, which can cause Chelsea problems. Chelsea seem to be getting on a little bit. Some of the players are getting up there a little bit, and it seems to have hit everyone at the same time. They've struggled so far this season. And if ever they're going to have a chance to get out and start making a move at the table, they've got to start making it this weekend. So I'll pick Chelsea 2-0 this week.
I wonder what odds you would have got at the beginning of the season for Chelsea to get relegated. Somebody probably did it, put $1 on it. Could be a rich man. I doubt that would ever happen, but just imagine how you'd be feeling if you put that $1 on.
Well, they've got, 6 or 7 weeks to get to the end of the beginning of the transfer window. I just don't see anywhere that they would go down, because if they lose every game now between now and January 1st, the owner's going to spend a boatload of money to try and bring all the players in that he needs to try and get them out of that position. But I just think they have too much money that would allow them to be in that kind of predicament.
So if you're a soccer purist and you don't have a team yet, or maybe you do have a team, Alan, myself, for soccer lovers, next one is really interesting, Swansea against Bournemouth, because they're two small clubs. Swansea almost went out of existence. They actually came over to the US and played against our team, Minnesota United. That was 2-0 to us. Sorry, Swansea City fans. But they play absolutely amazing soccer. On the ground, fast, quick, brilliant movement. I think Bournemouth does the same. That being said, I don't think Bournemouth will stay up, but at least they try and play. They don't come in and just try and put 10 men behind the ball. So if you're a soccer purist and you want to get up for this game, believe it'll be at 9 o'clock. This would be a brilliant game for you to watch. I'm going to go 3-1 Swansea City.
I'm going to go 1-0 Swansea. They've only won once in the last 11 games, I think. And I was reading the other day about players are complaining that when the players go away on the national team, they come back. The coach, Monk, has never congratulated them or nothing like that. He never talks to them, to say. So there's something going on there that's a little deeper that people don't know about. But I think Swansea just good enough, especially at Swansea, to get a 1-0 win this week.
Very nice. Next one, we don't even have to spend a lot of time on that. Newcastle-Leicester, 6-0 Newcastle. No, I will probably say, I don't even want to go into it because I know I'm just frustrated with them. I'm frustrated with the ownership. We have played a little bit better recently. I will say 2-1 Newcastle, and a team in our predicament. We're not going to get Champions League. We're not going to get in the Europa Cup. We're going to be halfway, mid-table. These are the games you have to win, your home games. I don't see us going to Man United or Arsenal or Man City and winning games, and we haven't, quite frankly. So these are the games is a must-win. If we don't win these ones, these are when you're in big trouble near the end of the season. But I will say 2-1 Newcastle. If we end up losing, Alan, you're going to have to find a substitute for next Tuesday because I will not be coming in, mate.
Surprisingly, I'm not taking Newcastle. I'm taking Leicester 2-1. I hope Vardy is fit though. That's the only.
I don't.
If Vardy is fit, I think Leicester's going to win this game, hands down, because he is the key. He's 12 goals he's got so far this year. When I first saw this kid play 2 or 3 years ago, he was non-stop running all over the field. He was causing defenders all kinds of problems, and this is what's going to cause Newcastle all kinds of problems this weekend. They're going to be playing at home, especially if Leicester score first. The crowd are going to get on them again. You know how they do. They haven't played well this season at all. They got a lucky win last week. A couple of weeks ago against Bournemouth, 1-0. I watched the first half and it was like 13 shots to 1. Bournemouth were unlucky not to score in that game. Newcastle did squeak it out, but I think Leicester's just too good to play, too good at soccer right now to lose to a Newcastle team.
So what score are you going for?
2-1 Leicester.
Leicester, okay. Everton, Aston Villa. I want to shout out to my good friend Eric Norquist and Eric Durkee, who work for Minnesota United, big Everton fans. If you're thinking about waking up for this game, just don't. I'm going to say 2-1 Everton. The less talk about it, the better, I think, to be honest. So just give me a score.
I'm going to go 3-0 Everton. Villa's in trouble. They got a new coach, but I just think it's too late for those guys right now. 3-0 for Everton, especially at home.
Yeah. These are looking pretty close. It's going to be a close week. Make sure you're following along at home as well. Make your predictions. You have about a week to get it done. It'll be good to see if you can beat us, if we beat you, if you destroy me. It doesn't really matter. It's all fun. West Brom against Arsenal. I do enjoy watching Arsenal play. I always did. They keep the ball on the ground. They have good movement. We almost always beat them when Newcastle play them at home, so I love when they come to St James's Park. I'm going to say on that one, 3-1 to Arsenal. I know I'm going high on the goal scoring this week, but I see it. I've seen there's not many teams in the Premier League this year that sit in, put 10 men behind the ball and just defend, other than Chelsea and probably Villa. But I'm going to say 3-1 to the Arsenal.
I'm going to go 3-0. I can't see West Brom scoring. I saw them play against Sunderland a couple of weeks ago. They beat Sunderland 1-0, and Sunderland weren't very good at all, and West Brom were just as bad. Hardly any chances. So if they can't create any chances against Sunderland, I don't see them creating any chances at all against Arsenal. Arsenal are up there at the top of the league. They'll be looking to add this 3 points, and I'm going 3-1.
Only reason I say there's a 1 is because it's a Tony Pulis team. They play pretty direct, and they're very, very organised on set pieces. Other than that, I don't see them scoring a goal. I do, however, like Berahino, that plays up front for West Brom. I'm not sure if he's playing. He's quick, he's direct, which is a common theme. So if there's any youth soccer players in here, you're listening to 2 ex-pros, we keep saying the same word. For top quality players that we enjoy watching who make it to the top level, they are direct. You get the ball, first thing you should think about is, can I score a goal? If not, can I pass to somebody that can score a goal? Then you kind of start getting into the whole possession thing. But that's young players out there, please listen to the players that we're mentioning on their teams and watch them. That's how you get better. But he's very direct.
Yeah,
so
I think West Brom fans might want to watch him for the next 4 or 5 weeks, because I think come January he might be gone.
Yep, he is definitely off ski. So I said 3-1, you said 3-0. Man City, Liverpool. This is going to be a very, very interesting game. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, this is the game of the week for me.
I'm looking forward to it. I think, I'm a fan of Liverpool, the way they normally play. Jurgen Klopp has came in. I really like Brendan Rodgers. I feel terrible for him, but he'll get another job. As soon as Chelsea get relegated, then he'll jump back into that spot. But there's going to be in Scotland, you call this one a humdinger. This one's going to be, I think it's going to be fireworks. Another good thing to add in there is the player who basically refused to play for Liverpool when they were offering him $100,000 a week at 17 or 18, 17, 18. Raheem Sterling, who plays for Man City. I'm sure he's going to get treatment from the players. I'm sure he's not going to get a brilliant reception from the Liverpool fans when he's down by the corner. I think that adds that extra little bit of spice to it, don't you?
Oh, definitely. This is the key to the game, Raheem Sterling. We talked about earlier on how good this guy is and how many goals he should score. Playing against his old team, he's going to be trying hard. He had a good outing with England tonight. I saw, I made an assist on Rooney's goal, but he'll be trying his hardest to at least put one by them. But like you said, there's going to be fireworks, but I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think Manchester City is going to squeak it out 2-1. I saw Sturridge is back in training, and he might be available for the game. If Liverpool are going to do anything this season, they need Daniel Sturridge back. He's been out injured most of the last year and a half, and that's why Liverpool have been on the slide. When he's in the lineup, they're a much better team. He scores a lot of goals, and they need him back in the lineup as soon as possible. But I just think Man City at home are a little too strong for Liverpool this weekend.
So if Sterling scores, will he celebrate?
It seems to be the theme these days that he won't. He doesn't want to antagonize any of the Liverpool fans because, we've seen people before.
Adebayor, he scored on one end and he ran the whole length of the field to go celebrate by the team that he left.
Yeah,
right in front of the fans and just slides. And we know the language at those games and the not really violence, but the just intensity. And when I saw him do it, I was like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I think Raheem, I think he will, because he left he didn't feel loved. I know he's got a lot. He's had to go through a lot of stuff on social media if he's on it, and he's took a lot of abuse. I think he might celebrate, but
he's not going to run to the Liverpool fans and celebrate. That's for sure. But he, like you said, he might celebrate, but not in front of those Liverpool fans.
So I'm gonna go 2-2. What did you say?
I said 2-1 Manchester City.
2-1 Man City. Not bad. Nice. Sunday. There's only one game this Sunday. Tottenham, West Ham. I don't know if that one's worth waking up for, to be honest. West Ham's been a little bit boring to me. Even so, they've done really well. I've never caught on. Maybe it's probably from the Sam Allardyce days and what do you call him? Who else was in there? English coach right before him. Alan Pardew. They were really boring then. I'm going to say 2-1 to Tottenham.
That's the same score I've got too, only because Spurs are playing at home. They're a much improved team this year. I enjoy watching them play, especially Harry Kane and Eriksen. Mm-hmm. Just two wonderful players, two young players that carry that team. And then the new kid that's coming through right now is Ali. He played for England tonight. He's going to be a player. He was in a non-league play a couple of years ago. And you can see how good he is right now. And him staying fit is a key for Spurs this season. If he keeps fit and keeps playing the way he is, Spurs could be pushing for one of those top 4 Champions League spots because they look really good. West Ham were on a bit of a good run. They kind of level off a little bit, but I think Spurs is just a little too strong for them at home this week.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And our good friend and video extraordinaire at Minnesota United, Brad Baker's a massive Tottenham fan for some reason. He loves his Harry Kane. So give him a follow on Twitter. It's at Whistle and Thumb. If there's a Tottenham game on, your feed will be completely blocked with stuff that he's doing. Last game of the week, probably the least important, it's on Monday, is Crystal Palace against Sunderland. I wouldn't take the afternoon off work to watch this one. I don't know. Crystal Palace at home, they have a brilliant atmosphere. Say it's one of the best atmospheres, and it's a small, old, intimate stadium. Sunderland, which I think will end up getting it right, as in just not getting relegated, not Champions League or anything, but Sam Allardyce, I think will have them organised. They'll be difficult to beat. I hate to say it. I'm going to go 2-1 to Crystal Palace.
I'm going to go 1-1. I think Big Sam has got them back playing how they should defensively. They were unlucky a couple of weeks ago at West Brom, they gave up a goal that, people might have thought the goalkeeper was fouled. They lost that game 1-0. They did go to Everton and got hammered 6-2, but Sunderland should have been 2 up before Everton even had a chance to have a shot on goal. They hit the post twice. Those 2 balls go in the back of the net. They did come back to tie it, but they couldn't defend back then. So he's had a couple of weeks off right now to try and get the team playing the way he wants to. He will get it eventually right, but I don't see too many points between now and January 1st. They've got Manchester City, they've got Arsenal, they've got Liverpool. They play Stoke in a couple of weeks. They just have to hang on as much as he can until January 1st or the transfer window. Hopefully Big Sam can bring some recruits in that will help them just enough to get out of the bottom 3, because that's all I'm looking for Sunderland, is to stay in the Premier League.
That's basically what it's all about, to be honest, Don, especially for our 2 teams, Sunderland and Newcastle.
I think we missed. Do we do the Southampton Stoke City game? Did we do that one?
Oh no, if it's Stoke City, we don't have to do it. It's so boring. They always have been, or maybe it's just the name. But yeah, we can do that one.
I'm gonna go 1-1 anyway. So
I'll take a 2-1 Southampton.
2-1 at home.
I wouldn't miss it for the world, Trebek.
I'd give that one a skip as well. If you want to take my advice, I'm not saying it's expert advice, but if you want to take my advice, skip that one. Quick last point for the Sunderland Newcastle one. We just need to try and get as many points as we can away from home and make sure you win your home games. And that's the biggest thing I think we both have to. And same goes for your Bournemouth and your Aston Villas and all the other teams down there, your West Broms. But that's a big thing. Try and get something away as a bonus, but at home you have to win it. Little update on the US game. It's in the 68th minute and it's still nothing. 64th minute and it's still 0-0. I'm not sure if Miguel's not been on yet. Okay. Fingers crossed that he gets on, because I'd love to be able to rush home and watch him play. No, that was a good one, Alan. I really appreciate it today. Make sure you please follow us on the Twitter at Craig_Malice, at AlanWillie9. Good luck to the US in the rest of the game. Thank you for being here. Sorry about the story this morning with me in my bed. All right, we'll see you next week. Alan, I really appreciate it.
All right, have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.